Okay, it's great to be here. Today we're going to talk about bringing the BIM model to the field for practical uses, hence the title, Bridging the Gap Between Design and Construction with BIM. My name is Peter Wu. I'm with BIM Anywhere, the technology enabler for this case study that we're doing. And that's Alice with DPR Construction, very reputable leading BIM leading contractor in the US. Okay. A brief background about BIM Anywhere. BIM Anywhere is a cloud mobile BIM solution designed from the ground up specifically for the construction, and facilities use. We've been very fortunate over the past few years to be able to collaborate with the likes of DPR to kind of refine our solution to stand to the demands of fast-moving and very complex projects. Some of the projects that we worked on are in the Bay Area are UCSF hospital campuses, as well as the new Facebook campus in Palo Alto. Okay, where and how BIM is used? I think it is. There's a lot of established practices in design and in coordination, that puts BIM to very good use, 3D, 4D, and 5D. But how is it used during construction, where potentially BIM has the greatest impact on cost and schedule, and also for facilities? I think those are big question marks right now. I think the industry as a whole is still struggling to get the model into the field to assist in the construction aspect of it, using the model, basically building to the model. Some of the challenges is both technical and social. How many of you heard these reasons before? When you're trying to spread the BIM message to people in your organization. On the social aspects of it, I think with education and persistence, the resistance can really slowly melt out away. And perhaps Alice can kind of share that and how she got her team on board to use BIM during the construction process. Also, the last few years, you needed a huge computer, a very powerful workstation, or as some of you probably seen in magazines, a lot of contractors would build these big kiosks. They're basically, computer on wheels, what we call cows, and roll into construction sites so that people would have access to these, to the 3D model. They don't work. It's too cumbersome. It's too expensive, and it's very difficult to maintain. But if you can overcome, the technology has really evolved in the last couple of years. The mobile, tablets, whether they're Android or from Apple, they're super powerful now. Software has also evolved. Case in point is the software that we produce. It's really evolved in the last 2 years to something that can handle a very huge model. And you can overcome those challenges. You're going to experience new workflows, new processes in the field. For example, in collaboration, solving issues. In the old school ways, you would walk back to the office, look at the plans, maybe use a light table, get a meeting set up with all the trade partners, and perhaps go back to the field to kind of look at the same, area of, the problem areas. Well, in the new way, if you utilize some, mobile technology, well, you can solve it right there on the spot. What used to take hours and perhaps days to solve, you can perhaps, solve it, look at the model right on the spot and solve it in a few minutes. Also, model access is very common in the US to have these BIM caves or I rooms where people huddle up. You have a BIM specialist that is dedicated to navigating the model. So whenever someone wants to look at model, they would go to this room and grab a BIM specialist as their pilot to look at to visualize certain areas. Well, with mobile technology, you can actually visualize, the area where the work's going to be installed right there on the spot, and that provides a lot more value, increases the quality of work, and also reduces mistakes. And I think we're going to be, seeing a cultural shift with all the new technology that's coming up. But we also know from developing BIM Anywhere that any solution that is required that any solution has to get the masses to use it. BIM is not, traditionally it's not been an easy technology or easy thing for people to use. So you definitely have to make it intuitive and easy to use for everyone on the project team, not just the BIM engineers, the guys in the office. It's basically, all the way down to your superintendents. It's got to be collaborative and also relevant. You want to see the information right there on the spot, not when you're back in the office, because there's going to be missing information from the field that that can help you process and combine with the model to make better decisions. And obviously, with iPads and other mobile technologies, it's very economical, so it's a lot easier to arm your staff, with the power of BIM. So with that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Alice, who is going to talk about a case study of the UCSF Medical Center.
Hi, thank you, Peter. So my role at the UCSF Medical Center at Mission Bay, this is a large hospital in San Francisco, is that I'm sort of the BIM specialist part-time, and I'm also a project engineer, or what you guys might recognize as an assistant project manager. So just a little background on the project. We have something set up called an ICDC, so that's the Integrated Center for Design and Construction. And that's pretty much a big trailer space where we have the architects, the consultants, the general contractors, so that's DPR, and then we have all of our subcontractors all working in one central location. And we've had that since 2009. So one of our requirements to the owners is a handover of an as-built model. So the big campus comprises of 3 buildings, which totals 878,000 square feet. And there's somewhere, a little more than 260 patient beds. So that's just, to help you gauge the size of this project. So in terms of the model, during coordination, so during MEP coordination with BIM, we had to break out each floor of the hospital into 2 files. So that's a north and south. And that's because the size of the model was just so big. It's just such a detailed model. And each half of a floor is greater than 200 megabytes. So that's the size of the NWDs. So over the many years of construction, we actually struggled a lot with having a 3D model viewer on the iPad. So with this highly detailed model, what are you going to do if you don't use it for construction? So I think traditionally, for the use of BIM in America, is that BIM MEP coordination was more of a pre-construction tool for clash coordination and MEP coordination, things like that. But what we did here is we're actually bringing that model into construction, keeping it as built, and then handing it over to the facilities management team. And they're actually doing a lot of great things with that model, adding more information and using it and doing some other integrations. So our roadmap to success for this project, one, the collaborative environment, the ICDC. I think with that, that's really, really key in having all the major stakeholders sitting in one central location. Issues can get solved really, really easily, really quickly. We just had a very good collaborative environment. Bringing field experience into BIM. So this is something that we actually learned a lot from. All of our subcontractors actually bring in their field guys into the office, teach them how to use a computer, teach them how to model, and they're actually the ones doing all of the modeling. So they have X number of years of experience of knowing how to install plumbing or knowing how to install ductwork. So they're bringing that knowledge into the model. So now in that model, it's the easiest way to do an installation, because they can actually see, with a run going this way, it's probably easier to maybe curve it around this way or take another path. So with that field experience, I think that also added a lot of value into BIM. Building trust. So with our collaborative environment, we really, really needed to stress on building trust in the model. So if you have a model that no one trusts, no one's going to use it. So it's, getting upper management to say that, hey, we're going to build everything per the model. You have, this much construction tolerance, and everything installed in the field needs to be within this tolerance to the model. So that also brings us to the field office relationship. So because we're using the model to do construction, I think that sort of bridges a relationship between the field and the office. You're bringing field experience into the office, so your field guys who are doing the installation, they can trust that they're getting information from someone who knows what they're talking about. So this is, I think, a little bit different from how things are done here, but in America we have the subcontractors are the ones who are doing all of the modeling. So BIM tools, this helped us greatly. The use of iPads for viewing construction documents, and then now with BIM Anywhere viewing the 3D model on the iPad. So this case study is going to focus on the increment 4 and 6. So that's pretty much the deferred spaces of a hospital. So to provide the best patient care, the equipment, the medical equipment, the imaging medical equipment is usually picked right at the end of the project, so you can get the latest and greatest equipment into the hospital before it opens. So we called those areas the increment 4 and 6 areas, and that consisted of 17 imaging rooms with roughly 40,000 square feet. So this is just an example of an Inwall. So this is a pediatric cath lab Inwall. So you see a lot of conduits, a lot of boxes, a lot of stuff in the walls. So this is some example of the overhead. We model all of the ceiling framing. So these are all hard lid ceilings. You have to support all the sheetrock. This is an OR, pretty much an OR environment. So you could see we have booms, med gas, a lot of linear flow diffusers. There's just a lot of overhead MEP. So on this project, I teamed up with another project engineer to sort of, man this construction process. And they have BIM proficiency. They've used Navisworks before. They sort of know how to navigate the model, but they're not really fast at it. So I kind of did a test with them, like, hey, try this out. What do you think? And it actually got to the point where it's faster to open up the model on the iPad than it is on your computer. And to navigate on your iPad, it's actually faster than navigating with a mouse in Navisworks. So this is my project manager, Steve Sheehan. He is not proficient in Navisworks at all. He hates using the computer. When he goes into meetings, he actually asks me to go into the meeting with him so I can drive the model. So he'll tell me where to go, and I'm going to be, the official model navigator and move around so that I can help him show to the owners and the architects what he wants to show them. So he has a lot of MEP coordination experience, and I got that for him. So now this is a picture of him showing our electrical subcontractor detailer an issue that he found in the 3D model. So now he's always been a huge supporter and promoter of BIM, but now him being able to look at it himself rather than grabbing someone to show it to him is very, very powerful, especially for a project manager. So I have two superintendents with me in this group. So that's Joe Duca and Ali Sabag. They are superintendents who sort of grew up through the trades, and they didn't go to college. They don't really like using computers, but what they do have are iPhones and iPads, and the way that BIM Anywhere is built, the user interface is so simple that they're actually able to pick it up within 5 minutes. I just showed them, hey, this is how you navigate, this is how you do it, and just from watching me do it, they're able to pick it up. So they do a lot of field coordination without me now. So traditionally, they would be out in the field, an issue would come up, and they would run back in the office, grab me, I'd have to stop doing what I'm doing, go to that location in the model, take some measurements for them or show them what's wrong, and then they have to take that information and go back out into the field, find the foreman or the general foreman that brought up that issue, and they might be elsewhere doing something else now. So you see, if them having the model at their hands and being able to solve those issues right then and there saves you so much time on multiple people's parts. So they now use the model for work sequencing, highly self-sufficient, they can make measurements and everything like that. So on this project, we got our electrical subcontractor to use this as well. So we had one general foreman and two foremen. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the hierarchy, but you usually have a site superintendent for your subcontractor who manages multiple general foremen, and then you have your general foreman managing multiple foremen. So we had one general foreman and two foremen using this, and what the foreman said was that having the 3D model out in the field actually helped his journeyman or his apprentices view what needs to get installed. So this helps them visualize, hey, I should have put something there because I'm going to be blocking someone who needs to install something above me. So it's just letting them visualize that really gives them, an idea of what that space is supposed to look like and what, they should do to sort of help out the other trades. So there's a lot of within field collaboration as well. So with the subcontractors using this, they can actually do field coordination without DPR. So we don't even need to get involved, and they can solve field issues on their own. So with the subcontractors, they're sort of similar to how my relationship is with my superintendents. So their general foreman, if there's an issue, they would usually run back into the office and get their detailer to make some measurements and pull things up for them. So with the subcontractors using this, they don't have to cause any downtime for their detailers as well. So these are some of my personal gains. I'm very happy about these things. I no longer have to be the official model navigator, which is great for me. I don't have to waste my time on doing, simple tasks like that. I built a greater connection with the field. So me being able to bring the model out into the field and sort of helping share that knowledge of what BIM is and what BIM can do, I think that, really helped me form a good connection with the field. And, with this, I taught BIM and helped spread, the use of BIM and the value. So some of the gains for our specific team, the 3D model usage increased by 80%. So we had, give or take, a team of 5. So you have to understand, we only took this small portion of the project to do this on because the rest of the hospital was already built. So this hospital, construction started before iPads were even invented. So if we had this, at the invention of the iPad, we could have used this for the rest of the hospital. So model usage increased by 80% because I used to be the only person using BIM in my team, but now everyone touches it, everyone uses it, everyone accesses it for information. And that's, superintendent's field and the office. So time savings, running back and forth from the field and the office, and the accuracy of as-built conditions. So I really want to stress that one because we are required to hand over an as-built model to the owners. And how are you going to check the accuracy of your as-built drawings if you can't actually bring anything out there to check it against? So with everything modeled in 3D, you can easily just walk outside and do a quick glance to make sure that things are installed where they're supposed to be. And that's it. I don't know if we have time for demo. Quick demo? 2 minutes? Okay. We'll take it. Is it not working this time? Oh, there it goes. Okay, so you should be able to see that little white dot once I click on something. That's where my finger is pointing at. So there's a 2D and 3D sort of connection. So a lot of people are used to viewing 2D drawings, so your field guys are very, very used to looking at 2D floor plans. But what they're not used to is looking at a 3D model. So if you give them a 3D model and ask them to navigate it, chances are they're not going to know what the hell they're looking at. Even office folk, if you're not familiar with the model, it's really, really hard to navigate. So with this 2D, 3D integration, you can just select a spot on that 2D floor plan, and you will get brought there in the 3D model. So this is very, very easy for anyone to pick up, and you navigate just like how you're playing a video game. So you can zoom in, zoom out, just like how you know how to use an iPhone, or actually all smartphones. Zooming in, zooming out is pretty simple. Panning, and then if I don't want to look at that room anymore, I click back on that floor plan, move to a different room. This is actually my favorite room. It's a hybrid operating room. the most MEP dense room in that hospital. So you can see all the conduits, all of the metal stud framing. So we modeled all of the metal studs. You can see the ceilings modeled. We have the linear flow diffusers, all the conduits, structural steel, everything you need is there. You can make measurements, whatever you want to do, hide objects, anything that you might want to do in the field. So I guess we'll take questions, and if you want to do a demo, feel free to come check us out after.